So today we are solving rational equations. These are things obviously with equal signs. What I do is if I have one fraction equaling another, all I have to do here is cross multiply. So I'm going to take those two values and multiply by them. So I'm going to have 3 times the quantity 4x plus 5 equals 9 times the quantity x plus 1. Then I want to distribute from here. So 3 times 4x is 12x. 3 times 5 is 15. Over here I have 9 times x, which is 9x. 9 times 1, which is 9. Then this looks like a normal algebra problem. I want to get all my variables to one side and all my numbers to the other. I'm going to start by subtracting 9x on both sides. I'm going to do my work over here. Then I have 3x plus 15 equals 9. I want to subtract 15 on both sides. And I get 3x equals negative 6. Then I divide by 2. Well, not by 2. That's my answer. I divide by 3 on both sides. And then I get x equals negative 2 for my answer. Okay, when I'm working with more than one fraction on each side of the equation, what I want to do here is find the LCD, so the lowest common denominator, the smallest value that all of my denominators multiply into, and then I'm going to multiply my whole entire equation by that value. So if I take a look at number 2, this has an x, this has a 4, and this has an x. The smallest thing that 4 and x both multiply to is 4x, so my LCD here is 4x. Then what I want to do is I am going to take 4x and multiply by my entire equation. So I'm going to have 4x times 5 over x plus 4x times 7 over 4 equals 4x times negative 9 over x. Then what I want to do is I want to cancel out things that they have in common and multiply. So over here, I'll use red again. Over here, the x's cancel out. On the second piece, the 4's cancel out. And on the last piece, the x's cancel out. Then I'm left with 4 times 5, which is 20. X times 7, which is 7x. And on the other side of the equation, I have 4 times negative 9, which is negative 36. Then I want to subtract 20 on both sides. And I get 7x equals negative 56. I divide by 7. X equals negative 8. Okay. On number 3, I don't have a denominator for 1, so it would be 1. I have x minus 5 and x. So what my LCD here would be is x times x minus 5. So I'm going to take the whole equation again, and I'm going to multiply by x times x minus 5. So I'm going to write that out. I have x times x minus 5 times 1 minus, from the sign right there, x times x minus 5 times 8 over x minus 5 equals, no, 3. X times x minus 5 times 3 over x. Then I want to cancel out things that happen on the top and bottom. There's no bottom here, so nothing gets canceled out. In the middle piece, the x minus 5 gets canceled out. And on the end, the x's cancel out. So then I just multiply. I have x times x minus 5. So it's going to be x squared minus 5x. And then times 1 is just the same. Then I'm left over here with negative x times 8, which gives me negative x. Over here, I have x minus 5 times 3, so I have 3x minus 15. Ooh. Spacing is not good. There you go. Then I want to get all my variables in, since this is a quadratic equation, I want all my variables and all my numbers on the same side. I can combine like terms first before I do that. So I have x squared minus 13x equals 3x minus 15. Then what I want to do is I want to subtract 3x on both sides. I'm sorry, I did not give enough spacing. Then I have x squared minus 16x equals negative 15. I want to add 15 to both sides. I have x squared minus 16x plus 15 equals 0. Then I'm looking for what multiplies to positive 15 and adds up to negative 16. It's going to be negative 1, negative 15. And they both equal 0. Then I take each of my pieces, set them equal to 0. I get x equals 1 and x equals 15. What I would need to do is, since I've got more than one answer, I need to plug back in and check and make sure they work. If I plug in 1, 1 minus 5 gives me negative 4. And if I plug in 1 over here, it gives me 1 as well. If I plug in 15, 15 minus 5 gives me 10, 15. So neither of those are 0, so both of these are answers. Okay. Then on number 4, if I take a look, I have x minus 3, x squared minus 9, and x plus 3. What I want to do here is find what they all multiply to. Notice x minus 3 times x plus 3 would give me x squared minus 9. So if I multiply, let me first say what my LCD is here. My LCD here is x squared minus 9. So then I'm going to take that and multiply by the whole equation. I have x squared minus 9 times 6 over x minus 3. I have 8x squared. Oops, nope, nope. I have x squared minus 9 times 8x squared over x squared minus 9 minus x squared minus 9 times 4x over x plus 3. So remember, let me write this in green over here. X squared minus 9 equals x plus 3 times x minus 3. So on my first term, I really have x plus 3 times x minus 3 times 6 over x minus 3. Over here, I'm not going to rewrite that because it's going to cancel out, so I'm just going to leave that as it is. I should have written that in parentheses. Over here, I'm going to separate them because I needed to turn it back into that x plus 3. Okay. Then I want to cancel out what I have on the top and bottom. So over here, it's the x minus 3. Over here, it's the x squared minus 9. And over here, it's the x plus 3. Then I want to distribute what I have left. So I have 6x. 3 times 6 is 18. That one is just 8x squared. Over here, I have, let's see, I'm going to have negative 4x squared because of the negative, the x, and the 4. Then over here, I'm going to have negative 3, which is positive 3, times 4x, which is 12x, and it's positive. I want to get everything, actually I want to combine like terms first. So 8x squared minus 4x is 4x squared. Okay. Then I want to subtract 6x and 18 from both sides. I get 4x squared plus 6x minus 18. I can factor out a 2 to make these smaller numbers to work with. Okay. Then I want to factor this. I can type into Desmos the equation, and it will, where it crosses the x-axis is my solution. So let me open up Desmos. Okay, so if I look on the graph, it's crossing at -3, positive 1.5. So let me go back to my paper. Over here, I have, if I plug in -3 over here, it'd give me -6. -3 here would give me 9 squared minus 9, which would give me 0. So -3 is not an answer, only 1.5 is. This answer right here that I crossed out is an extraneous solution. Remember, that means it's extra and we don't need it. Okay. So take a few minutes, pause the video, then take a few minutes and come back, and we will go through the rest on the back together. Okay. So over here on the first one, we just need to cross multiply. So I have 2 times 3x plus 2. And then on the other side, I have 10 times x plus 2. I want to distribute. I have 6x plus 4. Over here, I have 10x plus 2. Nope, 20, because I forgot to do 10 times 2. Then I want to get all my variables on one side and all my numbers on the other side. So I'm going to subtract 6x on both sides. Then I get 4 equals 4x plus 20. Subtract 20 on both sides. I get -16 equals 4x. I divide both sides by 4. And I get x equals -4. On number 6, my LCD is 2x. So I'm going to take 2x and multiply by my whole equation. I have 2x times 3 plus 2x over 5, 2x times 5 over 2, and 2x times -12 over x. Okay, then I want to cross out anything I can. This one crosses out the x, this one crosses out the 2, x. And then I multiply. 2 times 3 is 6. X times 5 is 5x. 2 times -12 is -24. I subtract 6 on both sides. I have 5x equals -30. I divide 5 on both sides. I get x equals -6. Okay. Number 7, I'm going to write my LCD off to the side. It is x times x minus 4. So I want to multiply my equation by that. I'm going to rewrite out here. So I have x times x minus 4 times 1 minus 2, nope, minus x minus 4, then times the 2 over x minus 4 equals x times x minus 4 times 4 over x. I go and cross out things that are repeated on the top and bottom. Okay. Then I multiply. X times x and then times 1 is x squared. X times -4 is -4x. Over here I have -x times 2. On this side of the equation I have 4 times x, which is 4x. 4 times -4, which is -16. Then I want to combine like terms on this side. I have x squared minus 6x equals 4x minus 16. I want to subtract 4x on both sides. I get x squared minus 10x equals negative 16. I want to add 16 on both sides. So I get x squared minus 10x plus 16 equals 0. I'm looking for what multiplies to positive 16 and adds to negative 10. This is going to be negative 2 and negative 8. I set those equal to 0 and solve. Okay. If I plug into here, I get negative 2. 2 here gives me 2. 8 would give me 4, and 8 would give me 8. So both of those answers work. Okay. I want number 8. I want to find what they have in common. This one I am actually going to factor before I solve. So I have 4x over x minus 3, x plus 3 equals x minus 1. This one factors to x minus 3 squared plus 2 over x plus 3. So each piece needs to have at least 2x minus 3 squareds. So my LCD here is, I keep throwing pens at myself. My LCD here is a little different. I need x plus 3. I only need one of those, but I need 2 x minus 3's. So that's going to be an x minus 3 squared. So when I go ahead and multiply, I'm going to multiply by that whole thing. Okay. Then I will rewrite this. So I have x plus 3 times x minus 3 squared times 4 over x minus 3 x plus 3 equals x plus 3 times x minus 3 squared times x minus 1 over x minus 3 squared plus x plus 3 times x minus 3 squared times 2 over x plus 3. Then I want to cancel out pieces that are on the top and bottom. This one has an x plus 3 on the top and bottom. And when I cancel out the x minus 3, I'm going to cancel out the squared instead of the x minus 3 because there's still one left over. Over here, both of the squareds cancel out. Over here, the x plus 3 cancels out. So on this one, I have 4x minus 12. Over here, I have x plus 3 times x minus 1. So I have x squared minus x plus 3x minus 3. Over here, I have 2 times x minus 3 squared. Remember, x minus 3 squared is the x squared minus 6x plus 9. So I'm going to rewrite that up here. Is the same thing as that piece right there. And I'm going to multiply that by 2. So I have 2x squared minus 12x plus 18. Then I want to go ahead and combine like terms. Why do I have 2 equal signs? This one should be a plus. My bad. Okay, so then I want to go ahead and combine like terms. On the left side, there's nothing to combine. On the right side, I have 2x squared and x squared, which gives me 3x squared. I have negative x plus 3x, which is 2x, minus 12x, which is negative 10x. Then I have negative 3 and 18, which is 15. I want to get all my terms over to the same side, so I'm going to subtract 4x on both sides. Then I want to add 12 to both sides. Okay, and I'm going to go graph this to see what my answer is for my x values, my possible x values. I have done something wrong. I see what I did wrong. Let's go back to this. I forgot it was 4x. So that makes this 4x squared and 12x. So that changes all of these. Okay, so I want to subtract everything over. I'm going to leave the 4x squared where it is and actually move over the 3x squared. So then I have both x squared minus 12 equals negative 10x plus 15. I want to add 10x to both sides. This was 12x. Okay. Then why did I write 12x there though? 10 is what I was moving over. Okay. Then I get x squared minus 2x equals 15. I subtract 15 on both sides. I get x squared minus 2x minus 15 equals 0. I can solve this one. I'm looking for what multiplies to negative 15 and adds to negative 2. That's negative 5 and positive 3. I take each piece and set it equal to 0. I get x equals 5 and x equals negative 3. So what I want to do is I want to take those back and plug them into my original equation and see if they work. 5 squared is 25, minus 9 is 16, works. 5 squared minus 6 times 5 plus 9. So I have 25 minus 30 plus 9. 25 minus 30 is negative 5, plus 9 is 4, not 0, works. 5 plus 3 is 8, it works. The other number I needed to check was negative 3. Negative 3 squared is 9. 9 minus 9 does not work. So this one does not work. It's not an answer. It's extraneous. X equals 5 is my answer.